You're listening to the Game Tenants podcast.
Hello, welcome to the Game Tenants podcast, the failed adventures of two gamers and their quest for Gamecast stardom. This is episode 58, and I am Church of the Game Grinder, and as always, joined by my excellent co-host, Justin, Cardboard Zero.
How's it going, guys? Excited to be here yet again for another week of gaming, awesomeness, news, and shenanigans. This week, some of our topics are going to be hitting on another death of a ROM site. I know, tears. Touch a little bit on Quakecon. Some Gamescom news. A lot of good trailers out there. Some new products coming out. Some Amazon news. And some Bethesda news. So we have a lot to talk about this week. Some juicy stuff. Some more possibly ranty stuff. So chin straps, people. Strap in, sit down, and get ready for the ride. Absolutely. And with that, how you been, bud? What you been up to?
I'm great. I'm doing pretty good. Feeling productive compared to
that's a good
usual.
Word. That's a good word.
Made some progress in the game room. I got a random urge to put up some more posters, try to get a little bit more, decorative swag, I guess, as it were. Mostly related to my recent Shantae gains. If anybody's been following that, I got those Charguman figures, which I have put both Shantae and Roddy Tops together now. Got some pictures out there. Pretty happy with how they turned out, but
excellent.
Wanted to put those on the shelf, integrate the Kickstarter rewards that I spent way too much on when I didn't actually get to back the game. So I wanted to do some things with those, and I got like those at the point where now it's starting to get ridiculous, where I bought the 14 keychains or 12 keychains, Shantae things, put those into like a poster frame, and did some other things, some other posters that I've had sitting around.
I'll put some thought maybe we're going to become a zany janitor with all those keychains.
Yeah. Well, I mean, at work, people always comment on. I do have like a key ring of keys because I do tech support for schools, so I need keys to get into, different doors and all these schools I work in. And most people don't wear the keychains on their ID badge, but I just do because I won't lose them, and they're always right there, sort of thing.
Well, it's just smart planning.
Yeah. So pretty happy with the room situation. Trying to push myself to get the room like quote unquote done. Basically, the plans that I've had for just basic like interior design sort of stuff for my game room when I moved over, that's still not done. So
have you shown your diehard fans have you done like a game room tour, or have you taken any pictures that they can see?
I haven't done a game room tour since I changed rooms, which is something that I do want to do, and that's why I'm kind of like pushing to try to get the final few things done. Like main thing is replacing like the small couch that I have, getting another chair, couple rugs. Like I was gonna do some like cool lighting stuff, but that's a little ambitious. I just want to get the room done, and then
shoot for the stars, baby. Shoot for the stars.
That's true. And then I'm trying to like ramp myself up to start putting out videos again.
Okay.
Pick up videos and things like that. So maybe soon, because I'd like to show it off. I'm proud of.
I've been in his gaming basement room, part of the house, what do you want to call it? But no, it's really nice setup. Like I really like your glass case, and you have the lighting in there for your different statues and figurines from collector's editions. Like it's really nice setup. It's at first I was like, ooh, this is like really tight and like almost claustrophobic. But I'm like, you know what? No, like to sit and bask in like all that gamingness. It's just like, give me more. Where's my beer?
Yeah, I mean your setup's not too bad.
Well, you haven't been over lately, so because remember, when I was staying at your place, I haven't moved everything back out yet. So
Gotcha. But
sparse.
so besides some game room stuff and I guess some like Shantae pickups, played through the South Park Fractured Butthole DLCs. Picked up the season pass. I was like, oh, the heck with it, because the new one came out, or the new DLC. So that's like all the story DLCs they're going to release. Played through the Bring the Crunch, which was fantastic. The ending like punchline is, I mean, you play this whole thing for like 3-4 hours, but that like ending like punchline is just fantastic. And I hope they carry that over into the show in some way. Then I went back and played the Casa Bonita. That was a lot of fun. So for anybody who likes the South Park games, the current South Park games, definitely check out the DLC.
For sure.
And I started Sonic Mania Plus, and I'm playing through that right now. Surprisingly, more content than I was expecting, so that's kind of cool. So this might be the game that I just play until probably until Dragon Quest comes out, because there's some like other modes and so on and so forth. So that's what I've been up to.
I'm kind of surprised in you. Like you are not synonymous with season pass. I think you're kind of like me. You're usually a big proponent against it. So to hear you, I mean, that's good though. That means you enjoy it. It's good to hear people like, you know what? No, I don't care. Balls out. I'm doing this. I love it enough. I want it.
Like, I think the price difference if I bought the South Park DLCs separately was going to be like $5 or $10. But then there's also like the Danger Room thing, which is kind of just like it's like a battle arena thing. You can get stuff. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I want to play that at some point, but I do enjoy the game. I do want to support the developers. So it's like, excellent. You know, what the heck?
It's good to hear. It's good to hear.
So how about yourself? What have you been up to?
Well, we'll get the boring part out of the way first, and then we'll get to the fun part. I start school on Monday, so it's Thursday. It's the 23rd. I start my big boy school here on Monday, so I've been just trying to get all my T's crossed, my I's dotted, and all that fun stuff. I got to make sure all my books are good and ready, so I'm a little scared, but I'm also psyched. I'm ready to go. I want to learn. I want to get a better job. Yeah. So it's been a little hectic, and car repairs, not fun, but got to be done. Got to get to school somehow. Now with the fun part, not to bore the listeners with that crap, but actually, like I talked about last week, how I was like, you know what, I want to play Metal Gear again. So I popped out the old HDMI modded toaster, and I popped that thing in, and well, that first guard, guess what? He still fall asleep.
I fall asleep.
I have fallen asleep. So, you know, as you say to people, you know, commonly like that. So I played through that. Still a great, solid game, you know. Last weekend I was at a buddy's place watching some wrestling, and I brought him a little surprise because he's a huge, we always sit down once a year and go through like all the Streets of Rages, all the Golden Axes. We love old beat 'em ups. So sure. I had said, I don't know if I said it on the podcast, but I said to a couple of my friends that I'm like, I'm not buying that Genesis collection. I already got it for like 360 or the PS3 or something like that. It was like $20 on Amazon. I'm like, all right, I'll buy the darn thing. So I brought that over, and he's like, what's that? I'm like, it's like the Genesis collection, man. It's awesome. It's got like 50 games on it. He's like, well, like which ones? I'm like, well, all the good ones. Okay, just know that. So we ended up playing some Streets of Rage, some Gold. He I don't know why. He's just like, we have to beat Golden Axe 3. I'm like, oh, okay, we can do that. Calm down. I don't know. I guess he's a huge closet Golden Axe 3 fan. I didn't know that. So
just had the urge.
Yeah, so we played that. And then it goes without saying, as people, if they've been listening for the last couple of weeks, Final Fantasy 14 online, yeah. But it's kind of cool because they just did a Monster Hunter crossover. So Monster Hunter got the behemoth. If people are familiar with Final Fantasy monsters, the big behemoth, which is like this giant, huge beast. They got that to fight, which was actually, I hear, really challenging from my friends who do play.
Sweet.
And then they got Final Fantasy 14 specific. There's gear in the game called relic gear. It's usually your traditional class gear. So like if you've played any Final Fantasies, older ones that like you're a Dragoon and your character has a certain sprite set, they typically call that the relic gear in the game, so that it's made to look like that. And they got that as a reward. They got the Dragoon relic set. so they get to look like Kane from Final Fantasy IV. And then we got the Regalos, I think it's called, from Monster Hunter.
Okay.
And then we get armor from their game for, glamoring and purposes and all that. So
Sweet.
that's been new content. Otherwise than that, yeah. Why do I think I saw a movie, but I can't remember if I did or not. Nope. Oh, it's something that people won't know, but we got an Alamo Draft House in Minnesota finally, and it's really cool.
I wasn't aware.
Yeah, it's in Woodbury. You should check it out because they have really awesome things. Like there was a Scott, I wanted to, but it was like a Tuesday and I couldn't make it. But they had like a Scott Pilgrim, so they show like all different types of movies. Like you can watch The Thing. They'll have like a Thing night, but then they'll have like party nights that go with the movie. So like Scott Pilgrim, it was a party showing. So like every time Scott Pilgrim defeats somebody in the movie and coins pop out, they'll throw chocolate coins into the like movie people.
Dude,
like,
that sounds awesome.
Yeah. And so it's really cool. Like,
so it's like a kind of like you watch a movie, but you have more fun with the movie.
But not every movie. Like some specifics.
Sure.
Slow myself down here. I'm so excited about it.
But this is like a theater.
Yeah, no, it's a theater, so it's like any other place. And they have regular movies like that's what it was. Me and my buddy went and saw the new Mission Impossible, which was amazing. And that was just a normal showing. Like you don't talk, but the great thing is they serve food throughout the movie. So you have these little pieces of paper and you write down on them like, oh, I want a pepperoni pizza. Like there's a menu. And then you put the slip in like a little holder, and then these people zip by, grab it, and bring your food. You can get beer, you can get soda, you can get food, whatever you want throughout the whole movie. And the greatest part about this is, and I love this part, if it's a normal showing, just like sit down, get your food, watch the movie, be quiet. You can actually write on a card that like the people next to me are being really loud, and a manager will actually come in and be like, if I have to come back in here and tell you guys to be quiet one more time, I will kick you out. Like they are very hardcore about if it's just a showing, there's no party or nothing going on, be quiet.
Cool.
If they see
it's kind of interesting because probably about 18 years, maybe 16, somewhere in there. Woodbury, which is a suburb of St. Paul, Minneapolis here in Minnesota, for anybody who's not familiar with the area. But they actually had, I forget what it was called, but it was essentially a cinema diner, or they call it cinema cafe, I think.
Oh, I was going to say, are you talking about the Chanhassen Dinner Theater?
No, this was just kind of what you're talking about. I actually saw Kiss the Girls, if anybody remembers that movie. Yep, I saw that there, and no, that's cool.
But you should definitely check it out. Like they play Back to the Future. They're playing, like it's like literally like you just go on there and they'll show you for like a 3 to 4 week. They already know what they're playing certain nights. And it's multi-theater, so it's not just like it's only one theater and that's it. Like they could be showing something and they have like I think 4 or 5 rooms. But
what was this? Alamo Draft House?
Alamo Draft House.
Cool.
You can get their app and then they'll just click through it and be like, oh, dude, next Thursday they're playing Back to the Future 2.
Oh, yeah.
And then, they might make it like 80s night. So you can, like, if you dress up as 80s night, you can win prizes or something.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely check it out, man. And it's no more expensive than any other theater.
Nice.
Oh, and I'm sorry, one more thing. I don't mean to drag it out. I'm sorry, audience. The best part, you know how you go to a theater and you're like, I want some popcorn. Who doesn't love popcorn? You get popcorn, right? And they put that butter oil on it, that like fake butter. You can actually request at no additional charge real butter for your popcorn here. And I had it. It was great. I didn't get that butter oil headache after. Oh, it was so good.
Awesome. I'm hyped. I'm going to have to check it out for sure.
Definitely. It's a great place. A lot of fun, a lot of events. And the best part is when you walk in to get the tickets, right to your left, full bar, like huge full bar seating. I've noticed that with movie theaters. Like, hey, let's open a movie theater. That's a good idea. What do you want to put in it? A bar.
Why not? I mean, I wish places that did offer drinks would maybe have like lower ticket prices or something, because they're going to get a killing, but whatever. People are going to pay what they're going to pay to go see a movie.
Exactly.
It's kind of a thing to go out, and it's almost expected that you're going to be overpaying for everything. It's just for like the experience. So, but full bar at a theater is always good.
Oh yeah.
So then I guess with that said, we're going to jump into the retro game highlight.
Ooh.
Last time you had talked about UN Squadron for the Super Nintendo. Squad.
I was like squad, scrad.
Squadron.
Use your words.
And this week we're going to talk about a game that I consider a PlayStation classic, and that is Duke Nukem Duke Nukem Time to Kill.
Hail to the king, baby.
Absolutely. If anybody saw during the spring that I got to meet John St. John, the voice actor of Duke, and get his autograph and whatnot. But Duke Nukem Time to Kill is probably my favorite Duke Nukem game. I know a lot of people will be like, what? It's not Duke Nukem 3D. The hell?
Duke Nukem 64? Come on now. Right, guys?
So if anybody's not familiar with Duke Nukem Time to Kill for the PlayStation 1, in many ways, it's essentially a Tomb Raider ripoff. It plays just like Tomb Raider, same kind of like tanky, climbing controls, hanging from ledges and stuff. But it's third person, much just like Tomb Raider. But you're Duke Nukem, and you start out in like the metro area. You got the strip club and everything, and pig cops come, and then you start going through time. You go to like Rome, you go Wild West. You got all the classic quips. What's that?
Oh, I haven't played that game in so long, and you talking about it, I'm like, little like sparks of memories are coming back. I'm just like, God, that game was so corny.
Yeah. It goes to Rome. He's like, he shows there's the girls and the like togas and stuff. And he's like, oh, I have Roman hands. And then like, one thing that really probably elevated the game for me. I mean, I had a lot of fun with the single player campaign, but the game actually has a 2-player deathmatch where you can play 2 players as Dukes, trying to kill each other using all the guns in the game. Dynamite was always a lot of fun, chucking dynamite at each other. My friends and I used to play the crap out of it. And then you could kick, was like a melee attack, and I'll kick you in the nuts. That's always been like, since we played that game back in the day, like that's always stuck as like one of the like the famous video game related quotes that our group uses here and there. Great game. I would say check it out if you haven't. Like I said, it's kind of like a little bit more actiony. Tomb Raider has exploration, secret rooms. Fun game. I think like I said, underrated. Especially for Duke.
I hope so. Because I feel like I should, while I was listening to you, I feel I should have a bag of corn nuts. Get it? Tied in back to the corn nuts. When's the last time you had those?
I'm never been a fan. There's a reason I haven't had those in forever.
Oh, jeez.
So then, with that, let's jump into some of our news topics here before we I think we got kind of a bigger little segment here this time. Build some little things to run through before we get there. So, as you had mentioned in our introduction, we've lost another ROM emulation site.
Boo.
Kind of building off of what we discussed on the last episode, where I said, this is setting a precedence where things can get worse for a lot of people. I mean, there's going to be ROM sites popping up here and there, but some of the biggest ones, I think we risk the chance of like actually losing stuff that we won't see anywhere else, more so with like the hacks and translations. But this time the ISO Zone, which was like the pretty much Emu Paradise and ISO Zone were like my 2 main sites.
Yep.
And they pulled Emo Paradise, and they didn't get I don't think they got like a cease and desist, but they're like, we can't take this heat, shutting her down. I've heard some talks about maybe they might try to set up in another country or something so they can not have to worry about some of those legal things, but yeah, rip ISO Zone.
I mean, it's the logical thing. It's going to be dominoes. I mean, you're going to probably keep seeing probably once a week, if not once every other week. You're going to see another big site.
Resist. Hashtag
Well,
resist or something.
What are you going to do against Nintendo money? I mean, really, Nintendo money lawyers come at you and go, "You want to dance?" You're going to be like, "No."
Yeah.
So
I mean,
it's kind of funny too, because ever since this thing has been happening, I've been noticing like Nintendo ads have been popping up a lot more, like in my Facebook feed.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like on YouTube ads and stuff. I'm just like, oh, that's weird. You guys are catching a lot of heat in the gaming community. Come on go online to Nintendo and download like you shameless.
Actually, I don't remember if I mentioned. I don't remember if I mentioned this when we talked about this on the last episode, but it seemed oddly timed that all this stuff started going down, and then all of a sudden Nintendo started doing their Smash announcements and stuff. Let's pay attention to Nintendo making Smash announcements as they're getting these sites to jump ship and stuff.
As I say is about a lot of things. Like, good for the fans who like Smash and they're excited for it and they want more of it. Great, but it's like, I don't care. It doesn't change. Every time they make a new game, there's only like 3 characters that all the pro players play because, hey, we got like 50 characters, but only 3 are really good. Like,
I just had King K. Rool, man.
I'm not good at Smash. I'll admit. Like a lot of people, like a lot of games that I'm not good at. I don't like it. It's not a terrible game. I'm not good at it, so I don't play it. I don't like it. But good on people who do.
Yeah, I mean, I got nothing against it. It was fun when I played it, and I got about as much fun out of it that I could, and I haven't really seen any reason to play it since then.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It is what it is. But, you know what? As long as I am informed of this assault on games preservation, that's the main aspect. I think, like I said, when we got stuff like these translations and ROM hacks and so on and so forth, like that's the stuff I really care about. The full libraries you can get on a billion sites, but I'll keep mentioning it.
Well, and to throw a little,
I think it matters.
To throw in a point in there, I think I was in different areas that I peruse on the internet. People were saying like, well, look at the transition. Like, I don't know for sure if you downloaded any Nintendo, what's that? The Nintendo Online Store. Like, let's say you downloaded Mario 3 on your Wii, and I know it's account based, but I don't know if that carries on. Like, if I remember correctly, anything that went from the Wii to the Wii U. From the Wii U, I think it stopped. If I'm wrong, I would love to be corrected. But
no, there's each digital store was tied to that system.
Yeah, so if you moved from the Wii U, sold your Wii U, and got a Switch, but you could bring your account there. But did your games come with you, or do you have to rebuy them?
No, because it's a new system. It's a whole new store.
Yeah, but I mean, if your account though, your account would still show you bought Mario 3, so you might have to re-download it. I'm wondering if you have to repurchase it.
No, yeah, I'm 99% sure you got to repurchase it.
And so the point that I read was going, okay, so you're the Wii. I think the original Wii, you can't. There's no online store anymore. They're just don't care. The Wii U, I think, is still hanging in there.
Yeah,
but it's so you're gonna make us keep buying it every time you switch platforms?
Yes.
Why? And people do, and that's the sad thing. And people do it.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm not gonna make it an hour-long rant about Nintendo. Did that last time. Looking forward.
Yeah. So, looking forward, there was a couple kind of convention deals that happened since the last episode that I just want to kind of give some mentions to, some game announcements and some things to check out if people haven't seen them, because some of the game sites that I visit, I actually didn't hear about a lot of this stuff, unfortunately. So just figured to throw some info out there.
Some notable shout outs.
Yes. So let's start with Quakecon. Quakecon is essentially a yearly deal where mostly id Software kind of talks about some of their things. Of course, its software is under the Bethesda umbrella now, so it kind of covers their games too. But the for me, anyways, I mean, there's other announcements, but the two big ones for QuakeCon this year was the was a 20-minute gameplay footage trailer for Doom Eternal, which looks insane. Like the gist, I mean, you had Doom 2016, and like, how do you up the ante? And it's basically like a Tenchu grappling hook, where they like grapple onto, like, you're like, running around crazy Doom guy blowing the fuck out of things, and grappling hook over there and shoot over there and grapple hook to that guy, and fucking, it looks crazy. More demons, just kind of get the hype going. I was hyped when they said, hey, there's going to be another Doom. That's all I needed. But
yeah, I was going to say, I'm on the same boat. Like, I was absolutely blown away when Bethesda did Doom. I mean, and I was like, no, I will not disgrace this game if it's as, like, just adrenaline fueled as they made it sound. I'm like, I can't degrade down to the console. I bought it on my computer, and I'm glad I did, because it was like, I seriously was like, that was such a refreshing, like, you got all these companies that are making, they redo games like, hey, we're going to bring this back from the dead. And you're just like, oh, great, I'm excited. Then you play, you're like, you guys didn't try that hard. But Doom has probably been one of the best games in the last 5 years that have just been like, someone took an old IP and just ran with it, and it, touchdown. It was so good. The soundtrack. So, I mean, you almost want to, it's kind of like that theory how you're like, oh, people that get out of a Rocky movie, they want to go like, oh, I'm Rocky Balboa, let's fight in the street. Like, I wanted to go bust somebody up. I'm like, I am pumped from playing Doom. Someone pick a fight with me.
Sure.
So,
yeah. Definitely worth checking out for those who haven't seen it. And then the other notable thing I thought was some more info on Fallout 76. This time talking about the camp system, which is essentially how you set up your settlement. I think I can't remember what the device was called in Fallout 3. You were like looking for this device, and it's essentially like that device is needed to start a settlement or whatever. This is kind of like another form of that, where you can set up your camp, build your base on top of it. You can move your base somehow, or your camp. But mostly the trailer is just kind of that animated Fallout stuff with like the Pip-Boy.
mm-hmm.
So really, you still don't get a whole lot of like just gameplay, unless there was some other gameplay that I didn't see. But more info. We need more info. I need more info for Fallout 76 to stick with it, because I'm getting pretty skeptical at this point.
Well, man, with how much that's coming out here in the next couple months, they're gonna have to do something to like grab us by the balls and like really yank to be able to like, whoa, what's going on over here? And
yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm already iffy about it being a survival game, so I really they gotta sell me. They really do. Otherwise, I might just pass on it, because just throwing Fallout into another genre and saying, hey, Fallout, it's not necessarily going to work for me. So,
or just wait for a Steam sale. Never mind.
No, yeah. Oh,
I'm so witty.
So, yeah, QuakeCon, and there was some other info. I think there's some stuff on like Quake Champions and Elder Scrolls online announcements, yada yada. But then there's also Gamescom, which is another big convention that kind of doesn't seem to get as much attention. Maybe it's just I'm in the wrong circles or something. Like I said, there's some neat stuff that was announced. Nothing we'll talk too in depth, but just things worth mentioning. So one thing that you were starting to get kind of hyped about was announced, and I think a lot of the PC gaming community in general was dying for some information about when the next NVIDIA GPU series was going to come out.
Mm-hmm.
They've announced the 2000 series.
Yes, indeedy. Feed the needy.
September 20th, it sounds like the 2080 and the 2080 Ti are going to be released. And then the 2070 is going to be later, or maybe it was the 2060. I can't remember. One of them, the lower cards, that they didn't have a date for just yet. But that's potential good news, although I'm hearing some conflicting information. We kind of talked about this a little bit before we started recording, but NVIDIA kind of has a sordid past of kind of hyping the products that they're selling with actually not having the hardware and components to back their claims, using modified benchmarking systems and things to cheat numbers. And right now they're still not they're not providing cards to people to do reviews, so we can't get performance benchmarks like real world settings. Sure, everything is going to run great on whatever system they're set up, but who knows, they could be running like a 2-core 12, a dual 12 CPU system and fucking 64 gigs of memory and liquid nitrogen cooling for maximum overclocks. We don't know. So don't jump on the hype train just yet. Check things out. Let's see what's gonna happen.
Hype. But
I'm pretty excited because it's about damn time.
Well, like you said, like we were talking before. I mean, so if people don't really, if you're like, oh, I'm not a techie guy, or I don't know hardware that well, the significance of this card coming out is, and for those who do play a PC, if you do tend to want to get into, you always want to upgrade and keep getting better eventually as your money allows you to, is 4K gaming. Now, I haven't had a lot of it myself. My Final 14 does support 4K. I don't even have 4K monitors, even though I have some really high-end monitors. But the current cards, even the best Titan card out on the market right now, cannot do sustained 4K 30 frames per second. They struggle to keep 30 frames per second. So the significance of this card coming out is more so to that they've been like, okay, gamers are demanding, they want 4K is the next thing. It's going to be the next huge thing. Everybody's getting on that train, or more people are. So this card is supposed to, if you guys could see me air quoting, it's supposed to be supporting 60 frames per second, if not higher, of sustained 4K gameplay.
Yeah.
I mean, it needed to happen. It's going to happen, and like Church said, it's a lot of preliminary. It's a lot of chest bumping. Oh, look at our new card. Isn't it sleek, shiny? You want it. Spend money. So that's why it's important.
Yeah. And they're expensive, very expensive. The 1080 is $1,000, and the 2080 is $1,000, and the 2070 is going to be $700. So very expensive, but it's the bleeding edge. Next year we'll probably see maybe like GTX models, because these are RTX, which I don't really know why they're doing like a different naming scheme on that end.
Yeah, like I say, I'm not a complete hardware guy. I just, I keep up with certain news and all that. And so the nice thing is, though, that if these cards come out, what typically happens, not like right away, but like maybe around Christmas time, if you were looking to upgrade a video card, the 10 series, which is still completely amazing. They're still great.
Oh, yeah.
The reason why they were hard to come by is because of all those Bitcoin miners. Like, Bitcoin miners were just buying them up. Like, you couldn't get a 1070 for like less than $900. So this is hopefully they'll be able to restock the 1000 series, and you'll be able to get when they typically go down in price, because people want the new shiny object. The old one gets pushed down, so you might be able to pick up a $400 or $500 card for $300.
Yeah.
So
here's hoping.
Yep.
So yeah, Gamescom, lots and lots of gameplay trailers. Many for games that we already knew about. Some games we've already seen lots of gameplay footage from, but there was a few that I was like, hey, check this out if you haven't seen it yet, because we haven't seen a lot on these games. So just some quick mentions. There is a Resident Evil 2 remake, Claire gameplay trailer, which is, like I said, if you've played Resident Evil 2, it's not really spoilers. So you made a good point about that when we talked about that before.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to check it out because I'm curious how everything's going to look. It was a scene with Claire meeting Sherry and William at the same time. So it's a pretty exciting scene. Looks fantastic. I mean, I already got the game pre-ordered, so I am hyped.
Yeah, I watched it. It was pretty good. It's kind of weird watching Resident Evils go from fixed lighting and fixed angles to this creepy new, like, I can see it's playing heavily with the flashlights. So
yeah, it's third person again, but for some reason, like I still gameplay wise and like some of the presentation, I know, felt very Resident Evil 7 for some reason.
Yep.
So I'm sure maybe there's some like engine similarities, or I'm sure it's the same team or members involved. But yeah, cool stuff. Now if they just put out a Claire figure instead of a Leon one for the collector's edition,
well, they would have my collector edition money if they put a Claire one out. Yes.
Then speaking of collector's edition, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice has a date. I forget what that date was. Release date.
March 21st, I believe. It was 3/21.
Thank you. But they also got pre-orders up. There was a collector's edition. I'm probably going to be getting the collector's edition because I'm a sucker. Comes with
Shocking.
statue of the dude, steel book. It's it's not a ridiculous one. They're not charging $150. I think if I remember correctly, it's $90.
That's reasonable.
And steel book, pretty good. Pretty good package for what they're offering. But they also have some gameplay footage for that. Vodividya actually got to do some gameplay. Able to show it. I mean, Dark Souls, Bloodborne seems, it's going to be very much like those games, just faster paced. I need a little bit more info about the resurrection, because it doesn't, like, I'm still not entirely clear on what the penalty of death is, because he was just like rezzing like right on the spot. Which is interesting. But yeah, again, I'm pretty much sold on the game as is. So getting more to sell me on it is fine by me.
Definitely.
There's a gameplay trailer out for Shadow of the Tomb Raider. Looks like more current gen Tomb Raider, which is good for me. Life is Strange 2 got a trailer, and it looks like they're doing a new, like, completely new deal, like new characters, new situations just in the universe, which I wasn't aware of. I thought it was going to be the exact same characters and everything, so hey, that's cool.
Yeah.
Overwatch got a bunch of stuff. There's the Diva story trailer, which was the one I was really looking forward to because Diva is one of my favorite characters to play as.
Okay.
Makes her less of egotistical showboater by giving us some backstory and kind of what she does, which I think is kind of cool. They also announced a new map, and there is going to be a Diva Figma figure, as well as unannounced but announced Overwatch Legos.
Oh, geez.
So I'm pretty much sold on the Legos. Like, I really hope they do all the characters, and then I could just buy a Lego set and, hey, I got all my Overwatch characters. That'd be sweet.
I mean, that's interesting that, I know, like, Batman and other stuff, like, I think, has another video game gotten Legos? I can't think.
What's that?
I was saying, have any other video games ever been done into Legos?
Video games, I don't think so.
I know. I mean, movies. I don't know if you got Batman Legos. You got.
I don't think they're doing like a game. I think we're gonna release toys like Overwatch Legos, like not a game.
No. I didn't. I'm trying to say that. Like, okay,
Oh,
so
sure. Yeah, I don't think there's any games.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was like, not the Lego game version of Overwatch. I mean, like, has any video game series or ever been made into Legos, like the playable blocks? So this might be the first, huh?
Yeah, potentially. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know if this is just play sets or if they're going to do more with it, but hey, I think it's cool. I mean, because there was that Legos Dimension, the Toys to Life thing, which I don't know a lot about, and they did some video game stuff. Like I got the Portal, little Portal set that has basically just Chell and a turret and companion cube of Lego. So, I think that stuff's not neat. It's usually pretty cheap, game related collectibles.
Well, it's like your childhood and the modern time clashed and had
And, I think it's cool because a lot of people might not know, but, kids are interested in Overwatch. It tends to be, teens and adults who are more into it, but it's a very it's not an edgy game by any means. I actually have a good friend of mine. His son, he lets his son play quite a bit, actually. His son's six years old, I think, 7 years old. And he loves it. And what's kind of neat about the Overwatch Legos is a few months ago, I actually went over to visit just for a little bit, and he's like, "Hey, check this out!" And he starts pulling out all these just Legos, like not actually like characters. He's like, "What character is this?" And I'd look at the Lego, and I'd be like, "Oh, that's Genji." Like I could tell. Like, I mean, I love the imagination of kids. Like, I think like as adults we lose some of that. Where he's just, he's not actually taking Lego like character figures and he's like making little things out of Legos, like just blocks to represent the characters. And I thought that was pretty neat. So yeah, more Overwatch stuff. Everybody knows I'm a big fan, and
nothing wrong with that.
It's great that they always do so much content. One game that I hadn't even knew was a thing, but hey, we just got an announcement. Supermassive Games, who previously did Until Dawn, is doing something called the Dark Pictures Anthology, which looks like it's going to be in the vein of Until Dawn, but it sounds like it's going to be like a series, not necessarily connected, like horror stories. I think it's one game that's going to have different stories or something. Maybe like a sort of like a creep show deal, or like VHS or whatever those horror anthologies are. So I'm pretty hyped. Until Dawn, I think, is like a must play PS4 game. So hell yeah, more of that.
Yeah, I'll have to look forward to that. Because I'm like, I don't know what that is myself. So
yeah. Then I've never played the Shenmue games, but Shenmue 3 got an announced date. And a lot of people are super hyped. August 27th, 2019. So it's still a year away, but hey, I mean, I don't know. I think that
what we got coming will keep us busy for that, so there's no problems there.
Yeah, but I wonder if they'll be able to make that date with what we've seen so far. I mean, it looks like they were definitely making some progress on the game. It's looking a lot better, so that's cool.
Good.
Series I do want to get into eventually, and we just got the Shenmue 1 and 2 HD remasters just came out as well.
Oh, it is out?
Yes. Just came out this week.
Huh. Thought it was still a week or two away. Okay. Yeah. I might have to make a purchase later.
Yeah. Then a game, I don't believe this was announced before. Maybe it was. I wasn't familiar with this one, but they have a trailer for a game called A Plague Tale: Innocence, which looks like a really neat game. It's kind of like a third-person adventure, maybe action. Graphically reminds me of like a style sort of like Dishonored, and it's about my impression is a sister and like two siblings making it through like a plague infested like classic Europe kind of deal.
Mm-hmm.
Like rat swarms everywhere, like we're talking like Black Plague sort of thing. Kind of puzzle elements. I don't know. Like I said, I don't know much about it. They don't really show a whole lot other than this trailer, which is like 16 minutes long. A Plague Tale. Check it out. I think that this could be a really cool game. I'm very interested. Then another potentially interesting game, World War Z has a game coming out. I don't know a whole lot.
Zombies.
More zombies. I know a lot of people are like, more zombies. For anybody who's listened to the podcast for a long time, we've talked about zombies before. I have always loved zombies ever since I was a kid. So I never get tired of zombies. It's not necessarily the zombies that make zombie things great. Zombies are a catalyst for us to examine the human experience, or just have a nameless, faceless enemy to deal with.
Yep.
But looks like they're doing some pretty interesting things. So the World War Z movie sucked. I'm sure people might have seen that. The book, I haven't read the book, but I hear the book's fantastic.
The movie is the one with Brad Pitt?
Yes.
I you know what? I didn't think it was terrible.
It wasn't terrible.
It's just its pacing was really off. It was really, really off.
And they did there's some very questionable writing decisions that they did in situations. But I mean, compared to the book, which is, bestseller, acclaimed by fans and critics alike, that was more of an anthology of stories, connecting to one greater arcing thing. I think they dropped the ball. This looks like it's probably just going to be kind of maybe along the lines of something like Left 4 Dead, maybe. But the really neat thing is they're doing. It looks like the game has a big focus on the swarm mechanics. Basically, if you saw the movie where you got thousands of zombies swarming, I mean it's like almost like a rushing tide. And seeing that in the movie was pretty neat, and they're doing that in the game, which looks pretty neat. It can provide for some potentially interesting situations. So I don't know, would be cool. Who knows? And then really for Gamescom, just a couple other announcements here. Quick mentions: a game called Alien Cruise, which Black Metal Gamer actually notified me about. This is it's an Xbox One exclusive. Hopefully there will be a PC port, because most Xbox One exclusives get PC ports now. But this is a classic shoot 'em up side scroller, but it has kind of it looks like a cut, like a hand cut art style, like construction paper sort of thing.
Interesting.
Looks really cool. So check that out. And then really this other game kind of connected to that with a unique art style. And this game looks freaking amazing. It's called Gris, Gris. This was also just announced. It's being published by Devolver Digital. I forget the name of the studio. I think it might have been Nomad or Nomada. It's a French developer. They actually pulled in some actual real world artist to help design this game, and the art style looks incredible. Like, it's another one of those games, I think maybe not like Cuphead exactly, but all hand drawn, very unique. It's going to be a platformer, probably puzzler platformer. They said there was going to be some boss fights and stuff, so I think we're going to be getting a pretty interesting game here. So check that one out. It's got my attention.
I'll definitely be looking that up after this.
Yes. And then just a couple other random announcements. Not much to say about it. Dark Souls Remastered, along with the Solaire Amiibo, got announced for October 19th. That's Dark Souls Remastered for the Switch. So, yay, I can finally get the Solaire Amiibo. I know I bitch about Nintendo and not supporting them. Amiibos. Gotta get them. They sell out.
They're worse than Pokemon, man. Gotta catch them. Gotta get them all.
Fortunately, I'm not trying to get them all. It's just certain ones. And, praise the sun. Gotta get Solaire. And then another Switch announcement that I hope is celebrated by Switch fans, but Undertale is coming to the Switch. And they also are doing a collector's edition, very similar. I think it's the same one that they did for the PS4 is also going to be a thing. Pre-orders is up, but at the time when I looked at it, there wasn't like an actual release date announced. So, yeah, more Undertale. I think that's great.
More Undertale. Can't have enough of it.
So then we got a few more, I think, interesting things to talk about.
Yes, we do.
This is where our potential to go completely off the rails, as we usually
potential. It's going to happen. I'm going off the rails like Sabin suplexing the Doom train. All right.
There you go. So first one I figured we could talk about was the Amazon Prime member benefits change again. When it comes to video games and pre-ordering. So in the golden days of Amazon Prime, you pre-order a game, you get a 20% discount. Pretty
Simple.
Good deal. Pretty
Simple.
Good deal. More recently, I'm assuming probably because they couldn't compete and they were losing too much money, but Best Buy announced that they were getting rid of their Gamers Club Unlocked, which was kind of their competitor to Amazon Prime game discounts, and as well as GameStop's. I forget what theirs.
It's like a Game Pro Elite or something.
Yeah, same deal. You pay a subscription, you get discounts and other perks. And GameStop announced that they were ending that program as well.
Odd.
Huh. So immediately, Amazon's like, okay, we don't have competition anymore. Your benefits are too nice. Fuck your benefits. We're changing this shit because we don't have no competition. So now it sounds like they are offering a $10 discount. $10, not 20%. So if it's a collector's edition, if they even honor collector's editions, their wording, you can read their official whatever, what it includes and
I was going to say, from what I read, I think you're along the right lines. I thought it was a $10 credit to your account.
Yes.
On select titles. So like, okay, the new Tomb Raider, if you pre-order that, might not be on the list, but the new Devil May Cry, that if you pre-order it, and once you get charged for it, it'll put a $10 credit on your account. So, but that'll be, I think that'll be able to be used for anything though. So like, oh, you want to buy a bag of Doritos from Amazon? Boom, you have a $10 credit.
Correct. So you don't actually get a discount on the game. You get a $10 credit that goes onto your account after the fact. They said it could take up to 35 days to get that credit, and you have 60 days to use the credit.
Yeah.
So
poop.
And then, like you said, like what's eligible. Not everything is going to be, they didn't spell out their eligibility requirements. Previously, they got rid of collector's editions. They said remasters and re-releases.
Yep.
So, it's just new games. And I'm assuming it's just going to be AAA games. I don't think it's going to be your $30 indie release that's getting a physical version.
I mean, like you said, with no competition, with Best Buy not doing it anymore, with GameStop not doing it anymore, there's no reason to like, oh, see, we're the only game in town now, which you would think they would like, because it's ending at the end of August. Like, it's not like, oh, 3 months from now to the end of the year. Like, I think they'd actually see probably an influx, because if everyone's like, well, if I can't do it through these other places, I'll just go to Amazon. So you would almost think that their game sales would go up. But in that same vein of thinking, I'm sure giving a 20% discount on video games that are new is kind of like a gas station theory. A gas station doesn't make money off its gas sales. It makes sales off you buying pop and cigarettes and chips and their in-store bakery. That's that's why they go away from calling them gas stations to convenience stores. You go in there and want to buy, some cold medicine, it's like $10. You go to Walmart, it's 90 cents. So yeah. I wonder if that's kind of like, I mean, Amazon's not stupid. The guy who owns the company is a multi-billionaire with a B.
Yeah.
So they know what they're doing. So, I mean, it makes sense, but it sucks for us as consumers.
It sucks for us as consumers. And what I think is just, I think it's sad in general, is that this sort of stuff is expected. Because it's a business, like they're expected to pull the shitty stuff, and it's accepted because they're a business. They got the, well, I'm a business argument, and I don't think it's right. I think it's shitty. I think we should hold companies up to a higher standards than, being the cutthroat bastard assholes that they are. I mean, this is just Amazon showing that, they're just another cutthroat bastard asshole company. Prime's pretty great. Oh wait, they just bumped up that $20. So your Prime membership's going to be 120 now. And then to add on to this, for those who use Twitch Prime, which is Twitch perk, I don't really know a whole lot about it, but it's basically kind of like with Hulu. Like if you have Hulu, you can pay a few dollars extra to not see ads. On top of the $11, I think it's like $3 or something. So you pay $14 instead of $11 to see no ads, no commercials. Well, Twitch Prime, that was one of the perks. Hey, you get Twitch Prime, you don't have to watch commercials. And now they're like, we changed our mind. You're watching commercials anyways. Fuck you.
What? I love this day and age because, like, I guess growing up and watching TV, which I don't watch a lot of anymore. Like, I have a TV, I just don't pay for cable TV. Growing up, we never really thought of commercials as much. You're just like, it's part of the thing. It's a break on the show, whatever you're watching.
I always hate commercials.
I love how everything we do now, specifically around social media, is like fucking commercials. Like YouTube, they're jumping the shark with their commercials while screwing most of their community content creators with the ad apocalypse and you said poop, we don't like that word, you're not getting monetized today. I just love how everything is revolved around commercials. Hulu commercials.
I don't mind. Like my it's funny because my dad and my brother both Hulu. They hate the commercials you gotta watch on Hulu, and usually it's 90 seconds like that. I mean, if you watch actual television, broadcast networks, you gotta watch 4 or 5 minutes of commercials.
Yep.
30 seconds. I mean, I don't mind. YouTube, you can usually skip ad after 15 seconds. It's not a big deal. But people hate that stuff, and I think it's a double-edged sword because we need ads to support these services. But when we pay for these services to get rid of ads, and then they turn around and say, fuck you, you're going to see ads anyways.
To say Hulu did that too. I mean, I know when Hulu first came out, it was just watch TV shows, but you have to watch them a couple days later. Yeah. And then I'm sure somebody went up to them and went, "Yeah, we don't like what you're doing. We're going to sue you, or you better start kicking us money." So they started making a premium service. So they still have the free service, but you have to watch commercials, or you could pay them whatever. I'll say $10. I've never paid for Hulu before. I remember a couple friends of mine bought it, and they're like, "Oh, you don't have to watch commercials. You get more shows than you would with the free version. Well, guess what? Now that if you pay for the subscription, you're watching commercials.
Yeah.
Like you say, it's just like, that's what I'm paying for. I don't want to watch them.
Well, Hulu, as far as I know, I've had Hulu for a few years now, and it's always had commercials. But
Do you pay for the service, or do you just do the free version?
No, I pay for it.
Okay.
I didn't know there was a free version at all.
When it first came out, there was a free. Like I used Hulu before, and I never had to pay for it.
Oh, sure. Yeah, so I don't know. I just wanted to say Amazon's being a fucking asshead.
Yeah, well,
I can still be friends with somebody and not like something that they do and call them out over it. Where, I'm not running to the hill saying fuck Prime, I'm canceling my membership today, but I'm weighing my options at this point because I don't want to support shitty business stuff.
And kind of to tack onto that, I had an entitled moment today, but then I instantly corrected myself. So Tuesday, I'd say about, 4:30, 5 o'clock ish. I don't know why. I was like, oh, I want a bunch of Blu-ray. So I'm on Amazon. I'm clicking and I'm like, I bought like $100 in Blu-rays, a couple sets and all that. And it's like, okay, all these are, Tuesday, guaranteed Thursday night. So only two, I'll say I bought 8 or 9 movies, but a couple of them being like collector's box. Like I bought the Desperado trilogy on Blu-ray.
Sure. Yep.
And then a bunch of singles. So anyway, so I bought them Tuesday, 2-day, that's why I pay for Prime, free 2-day shipping. Yep. Well, 90% of them aren't getting here till tomorrow. And I was just like, what the hell do I pay you $100 a year for then if it takes 3 days when you told me it's going to take 2? But then I'm like, am I really that person right now? Like, I'm talking to myself, mind you, like, having a smoke by myself. And I'm like, did I just have an entitled moment? I'm like, ugh, I pay for Prime for 2-day shipping. It's taking 3. I'm so inconsolable right now.
Well, I mean, I think it's warranted though, because you are paying for this service, especially if they want to play hardball and cut services when they don't have a competition, like you got to hold them accountable for the services that they are offering, and you're paying money for it. So I don't know. I mean, yeah. It's like, oh geez, I gotta wait an extra day.
I mean, like, it doesn't really bother me.
To have stuff delivered at my door. I mean, I've had that too. Like when I've ordered something specifically. It's like, oh, I need this. Oh, they got same day delivery. Great, I'm gonna order this. And then it doesn't get delivered. I'm like, what the fuck?
If it's part of, really, that's why you're paying $100 a year.
Yes.
Is I want free 2-day shipping, and I understand I'm no one important. It's just a movie. It got here before the weekend, so I can try to enjoy it. But I'm just like, I'm kind of conflicted. Do I have my entitlement and eat it too, or do I go, no, I paid for this? It's a slippery slope for me because I don't want to be an entitled a-hole and be like, well, you better compensate me somehow. Like I didn't complain to customer service or anything.
I think a business on the scale that they are, I think you can complain.
I probably could, and they'll probably just give me like a $5 credit, and I mean it's better than nothing. But I was like, God, because I mean, like we've all seen or know people who are entitled a-holes, and you're just like, shut up, sit down. It's not that bad.
But usually the entitled a-holes are like going overboard, where expecting your service that you're paying for seems like, I think that's pretty reasonable. You gotta be held accountable. We're, as an individual, we're held accountable for everything, but businesses, especially corporations, are not.
That is true. Or they get to hand wave it away when they are called out. I'm like, oh yeah, and then just nobody cares because I need my Amazon. Yeah.
So
speaking of Amazon.
Speaking of Amazon and a-holes, Bethesda, man, what the hell? So I'm sure a lot of you have heard about this. I just wanted to talk about it a little bit.
Shake my damn head.
So, I'm sure a lot of you know that as an individual, you can sell things on Amazon. I'm not exactly clear on the vetting process and whatnot. I don't think it's much, but you can sell things. And when you sell things, you can list the status of said item. New items. You can sell used items. So this guy was like, hey, I'm going to sell some stuff on Amazon. I bought a bunch of games. I think they were PlayStation games. He'd bought a bunch. And he's like, crap, I don't have time to play all these games. So I'm going to turn around and I'm going to sell these games that I purchased. So he bought a copy. I think it was Evil Within.
With
Evil Within 2. He bought it. Never opened it. So he's like, I'm going to sell this game that I did not open. I'm going to sell it as new. Makes sense. I think it makes sense. Bethesda says otherwise. Bethesda says, you're not an approved reseller. You're a liar. We can't confirm that you're selling a new game. We can't support the game's warranty, which, what the fuck is that even?
Yeah.
And they...
What up with that?
What's up with that? And they threaten this guy. They said, we're going to sue you if you don't take this down.
Oh,
you got to sell this as a used game. Fuck that bullshit.
Okay, so like I was talking to you before, first thing right out of the gate, anybody, okay, this is a question to people that are listening. And this is a legit question if you comment on the video when it gets put up. What do when you buy a new game, whether it be back in Super Nintendo days or you went and bought a fresh new copy for your PS4, Xbox One, whatever, the Switch, they have those stupid little single page cards that give you the warranty, like, oh, manufacturer defect, blah blah blah. And it's usually 90 days. On top of it, even if, like, let's say you went and bought a new game, doesn't matter, God of War, sealed, brand new, you take the cellophane off, you take a deep whiff of the new brand new game smell, you pop it in your PlayStation tells you, go fuck yourself, this doesn't work. I don't know why I would tell you that, but it does. Mm-hmm. What do you typically do? Do you actually, like, put it in a bubble wrapper and send it to the manufacturer going, fix this, I want to cash my warranty? No. What do we all do? We go back to the retailer we bought it from and go, this doesn't work. And they go, sorry, you have your receipt? Yep, boom, here's a new copy. Thanks. And if that one works, off you go. What warranty would Bethesda back up? I mean, people have actually contacted companies and they're like, yeah, my game doesn't work. They're like, well, go back to your retailer. What do you want us to do about it? Yeah. But the warranty card, yeah, we just put that in for, I mean, they didn't say this, but I can basically, like, assume them going, we just put that in there to make you feel better.
Yeah, it's legal,
it's like a terms of service. Nobody ever reads it, but you certainly click, you just click and let me get to the game.
And I've seen comments in various discussions where people are like, well, yeah, you can't. How do you know this guy just didn't reseal it?
Hi, retro community. My name's Justin. This is my good friend Church. We've been collecting games for a long time, haven't we? We've had some fun, haven't we? Yeah. And then this is to the people in the audience too. We've had some fun, right? We've come across some questionable games like, oh, this has got plastic on it, but I don't know if that's a reseal or not. And me, I'm the type of person, when I was doing a lot of high-end collecting and spending a lot of money, it's not hard to see when something's resealed. If any of you listening have bought a Blu-ray, a DVD, hell, even a CD, you know what a factory seal looks like. It's got the Y folds at the top and the bottom. It's like usually practically skin tight to the case of whatever it's on. I don't know of a person who has a house or a barn or an underground garage that has a machine that seals exactly like that. So when they go, well, how can we verify that that's not been resealed? You have to be out of your damn mind to be like, well, how do we verify? Ask the guy for a picture, you morons. There is no one, and I know people are like, oh, I don't know, I have a guy who doesn't. They make, like, no. And if he's not Y sealing it at the top, it's a reseal. It just is. Even the plastic feels different. Mm-hmm. It's usually typically thicker plastic that these people have these resealing machines. I mean, that's all it is.
And the other thing is, we're not talking about a potentially factory sealed little Samson here versus open a cart version of little Samson. This is fucking Evil Within 2. This guy was probably not even Yeah, I can't imagine he was trying to get $60 for this game to begin with. If this just happened recently, Evil Within's not a $60 game new. I'm sure you can buy it for whatever. I mean, I don't know. Unless this guy, I don't know, unless he's selling like thousands and thousands of games or even hundreds of games, all is new. Like it.
But I mean, that's like saying he has a sealed Mario 64, and Nintendo went, whoa, how do we guarantee? Like, really? Like Bethesda, come on! Like, is this like an ex-employee who like banged the CEO's wife at a Christmas party, and this is their way of getting back at him? Like, what is this?
Yeah.
Why are you sending the corporate lawyers after some dude selling a game on Amazon?
Well, it's you got if you want to sell our game, if you want to sell our game new, you got to be approved. But then the question is okay. I remember a couple years ago, 2 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I think it's 2 years ago. I went to GameStop. I was like, hey, I want to buy a new copy of Resident Evil Revelations 2. You got one in stock? And they're like, yes, absolutely. They're like, oh, let me grab the disc for you. Wait, what? They go over, they pull off a case off the shelf, and they pull out the disc out of their drawer. And I'm like, wait a second. This isn't new.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it is. They're like, this is an unplayed game. I was like, it's open. How's it new if it's open? They're like, because it hasn't been played. We open these games to save on shelf space and to protect ourselves from theft. I was like, this game's not new. It's open. They're like, no, it's a new game. They're like, you can go buy it somewhere else. And I mean, really, I didn't care that much.
Please spend your money somewhere else. What?
How is that acceptable? Why isn't Bethesda jumping all over their shit? Because they're actually opening these games where this guy didn't open his game and he's selling it. It's like, it's insane, absolutely insane situation. Bethesda doubled down on it. They, there a couple days went by without a response. People were like, "What the fuck?" Bethesda's like, "Hey, you can't confirm." And so basically, I don't know. It's like, why all of a sudden is a company like, "Hey, we're gonna look out for the consumer," when and I haven't agreed with it because this has been the thing for like 30, 40 years now, but we live in a buyer beware society where it's on you to protect your ass because nobody else has to.
See, I could have swore last year or 2 years ago, maybe even that, I thought the government was changing something with that, because I know back, game companies would be like, oh, no, like their legal jargon, basically the terms of service, that long fucking 20-page, too long, didn't read, click the button if you want to play our game. They were hiding a bunch of shit, basically going, this isn't technically yours. You're just leasing it from us. You're paying us $60 or whatever the amount of for the game you're paying. You're leasing it indefinitely. Or licensing it from us indefinitely. You get to keep it, but it's not yours. You can't modify it. You can't do anything. I could have swore a buddy of mine told me, he was like, oh yeah, the government's like, someone's pushing a bill that's like gonna put the kibosh on all that kind of crap. Like, no, I go to the store, I buy the new Resident Evil 2 remake. I can take a crap on it. I can put it on a flagpole on fire, whatever I want to do with it. It's mine. I paid money for it. I didn't lease that. No, you burned a copy and gave it to me and I paid you money. Done deal.
Yep.
It's stupid. Like, I just...
Well,
what is this guy supposed to do other than just cease and desist? Like, okay, geez, I'll pull my listing down.
No, he has to sell it as a used game.
Oh, they just, okay. Like, I mean, I would give them an email going, you will never see $1 of my business again. If you truly think, like, I hope it cost you big money to send those lawyers to make a letter to threaten me. What you spent on those lawyers to throw me that letter is more than, I'm glad you just lost money. You people are idiots.
Yeah,
idiots.
It's stupid. It's
like, why would they bring up the warranty? God.
Look down on them even more. Like,
just when you think there's some companies out there that you're just like, we can sit here and name bad company like EA is terrible.
Bethesda's pulled some shitty shit. They tried to do the paid mods thing.
But at the same time, though, you can say that was shitty, but they also said a lot of the money was going to go to the creators of the mods. It wasn't just Bethesda going ha 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 ha. No, it was going to go to the creators of the mods, so it would be a mod marketplace. I'm perfectly okay with that. Some dude wants to spend a lot of his free time modding this game and making something you want.
Yeah, but then the whole thing turned into that. Well, how do you verify this person actually made this mod? Because there was a lot of people pulling other people's stuff and slapping a price tag on it and selling it. Like, it was a clusterfuck. I mean, the entire community to begin with was based on making free mods. Like, that was the whole thing about it.
True. Yeah.
So, yeah.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
I digress. Shitty shit.
I was gonna say shitty situation. It's just, you should be better than that, Bethesda. You should be better than that. Like, yes. That's one dude. And one more final point on that. I was talking to church about this before we did the podcast, and I'm like, so you mean to tell me you're a game company, you make games, you're a game company. I'm not saying every employee in the building that makes these games knows what the manufacturing process looks like, but you mean to tell me you're a game company and you're like, well, how can we verify that it's new? You really? You don't even know what your own product looks like. You're not like with the, when they ever have like E3 and stuff, and they if they have a finished product or at least like a demo version, they're like holding it like, look, everybody, here's the case. Isn't it cute? Like, what they look like finished. Come on. Don't play stupid. You're in the gaming sphere and you're going to be like, I don't know what games look like when they're done. I just make them. Like, come on. Ugh. It's disgusting. Moving on. Yeah. Sorry.
So then this next one originally was something that I was going to just make it a little mention, but I thought that this could kind of go into kind of like a discussion topic with some recent conversations that I've had. I was like, hey, it'd be fun to just kind of expand on this a little bit and kind of pull in another topic I wanted to talk about. But the news came out the other day that Bloodstained, the crowd-funded Igavania game by Igarashi, the same guy who made Castlevania Symphony of the Night, it is getting delayed till 2019, and the Vita port of the game is canceled. So, kind of like just some back information on that. The game went to crowdfunding in 2015 and was originally slated to be released in 2017. So a 2-year development cycle. So they delayed it. They said 2018, and then they were canceling the Wii U port. And then now we're getting a second delay, and they're canceling the Vita port. The port situation is kind of crappy, but kind of is what it is. The game's not out. So the Wii U, Nintendo's like, yeah, we're done with the Wii U. We're not making any more Wii U games. So you can't put a game out on a system where they're not manufacturing those games anymore.
Yep.
So that sucks. Same thing with the Vita. We've all heard that Sony's dropping support of the Vita. There's some companies that have some contractual things that were happening that are able to finish putting out these games that were in the works that had like actual a plan and some business dealings worked out where these games were going to be created. So I don't know how much longer these games are being released on the Vita. A few more months, I believe, maybe into early next year. But they said it's not really viable to do this, so the Vita port's canceled. So I want to tie this in with kind of just a general Kickstarter discussion. So Bloodstained, did you back this game, Justin?
No, I feel bad because like whenever people like I kickstarted and it's closed, I'm like, what Kickstart? What? what did so I'm always like a day and a dollar too short to that kind of stuff.
Sure.
If I would have known about it, I mean, I heard something through the grapevine about like, the original creator of Castlevania wants to do another Metroidvania type game, and it was like, sweet. And then it was like, it's already been kickstarted. It's like,
he was the Symphony of the Night creator.
Symphony of the Night creator.
Yep. Yeah, and fortunately I had heard about it. I mean, I have missed Kickstarters, of course. Infamously, I've talked about it before, even in my review for the game, that I discovered the Shantae series and then quickly was like, hey, there's a game being crowdfunded. Oh, crap. The crowdfunding's been done for like a year. So I didn't actually get to crowdfund Shantae Half-Genie Hero. Never heard about it. I didn't even know about the game series until like I randomly saw a trailer for Pirate's Curse being released on Steam, and that's where I'm like, oh hey, what's this Shantae thing about? And I did my research, and hey, there's a Game Boy Color. A Game Boy Color game. Oh crap, this Game Boy Color game's a $400 game. Shit, I really would like to when I play a game series, I really like to start from the first game and play through the game series, because I think there's something to be appreciated as games evolve and develop over time with different entries. Sometimes there's story connections and things like that, and Shantae is definitely one of those. But I saw this one. I don't believe this was my first Kickstarter. I've actually funded a handful of games at this point. Most things that I've backed so far have been released. But there's a lot of people upset right now about Bloodstained. I was reading the Kickstarter updates and reading the comments on that. A lot of the Vita backers are upset. They're like, oh, well, I wouldn't have backed the game if I couldn't get the Vita port, which I think is understandable. The Bloodstained team are doing the right thing and saying, hey, you have until, I forget how long they're giving people. They're like, you can get a refund if you want, or you can switch over to another system.
Which I hope they do, because it's like,
they are. They said they're doing that. So
I meant the people who back them. Like, I hope they don't like, oh, well, this is crappy, I don't want to play. Like, no, like don't get prideful and not play a great game. Like, seeing all the videos they put out on it so far, I mean, it looks great. It looks fantastic.
Yeah, and I think they're justified. I mean, if I don't know. I guess I feel differently because I haven't had a project cancel a version that I wanted. Usually I go for quote unquote the console or the PC version, not handheld versions. I'm not a handheld gamer, so I can't really speak on that. But they're doing what they can. A lot of people are upset that they're like, hey, well, this, you guys said this game was going to be out in 2017. You already delayed it once to 2018, and now you're delaying it again to 2019. So, and this is going to kind of go in kind of with just Kickstarter in general, which is what I have seen in my years of participating in crowdfunding projects. So I've funded many games, like I said, Bloodstained. I backed Indivisible on Indiegogo, which is the creators of Skullgirls. Mm-hmm. They're making basically a JRPG in the style. It's a hand animated Valkyrie profile and gameplay terms, I guess. I backed, of course, I talked about it a bunch of times. FX Unit Yuki, aka Henshin Engine, System Shock remake, and I know there's more. I'm drawing a blank. There was the Super Russian Roulette. That I don't think actually had any delays. But every single Kickstarter that I've backed has had delays. And this is where things get kind of tricky, Now, this isn't probably true with a lot of just general Kickstarter things. I think this is a particularly like video game thing. So you get this Kickstarter. So Bloodstained, when they originally launched this Kickstarter, they're like, hey, this is our idea. This is our credibility. You know, Igarashi made Castlevania Symphony of the Night. Here's some other people that, you know, so on and so forth. This is our idea. They didn't have any gameplay. They didn't have any screenshots because they didn't have that because they hadn't started this project. Apparently, Igarashi him and his team spent about a year kind of crafting this idea and this pitch. And they go to crowdfunding and they say, hey, this is what we want to do. $500,000 is our goal. We can put out this if we get $500,000. Cool. They're like, hey, so there's this thing called stretch goals. Yep. All video game Kickstarters have it. I don't know if just random, you know, products have like all these kind of stretch goals, but I think video games are kind of kind of have things a little differently because you can really do so much more with more funding because video games is time and money. So they're like, hey, here's all these stretch goals. By the end of the campaign for Bloodstained, $5 million. So they went from a $500,000 project to a $5 million project. 10 times, you know, their original funding. So they're not saying, hey, you're giving us $5 million to make this $500,000 game. We got all these stretch goals, and you've hit all these stretch goals, and all these stretch goals had more content that we were adding in the game, more modes, more characters, you know, more, you know, we got the Bloodstained Curse of the Moon mini game, which was a, you know, full-blown retro Castlevania 3 game, you know, prequel tie into the to Bloodstained Ritual of the Night. So that $500,000 game that was going to take 2 years to develop, I mean, to me anyways, in my mind, I guess when I originally backed this, I didn't really think about it, but it was more like once people started kind of saying, hey, what's up with these delays and stuff is, you know, this is a $5 million game now with tons and tons of more content. Personally, I don't expect that to be developed in the same amount of time. You can't just throw more money, you know, necessarily just hire a bunch more people to get this game finished. Like that's more development time from the creators themselves, more planning. Like, and I see this, like I said, I see this with every game that I've backed. You know, FX Unit Yuki was delayed, which, you know, initially when I signed up for that Kickstarter, I thought that their initial release date didn't sound realistic to me. Okay. And sure enough, it wasn't. And I think they pushed back like 6 months, 7 months. It wasn't like,
sounds about right. Yeah. It
wasn't a super long time. System Shock. Now here's an interesting one. So System Shock is, you know, here's Night Dive Studios. They're doing a remake of System Shock, which was the game, basically the spiritual. This is the spiritual precursor to BioShock. You know, it was the same people.
It's an amazing game, by the way. Amazing game.
I mean, I've actually never played it, sadly. I know it's crazy, especially being a PC guy. But you know, so with System Shock, you know, same deal. You know, they put out this Kickstarter. This is our goal. You know, they got some reward stretch goals and things like that. Now, the interesting thing with them is they've been a good project. They've communicated, say, hey, this is what we've been working on. You know, this is the progress we're making. And then all of a sudden, they got to the point where, like, hey, this is kind of getting all screwed up. We kind of need to start this over. So, you know,
Well, it was a little bit more than that. They thought they could do something in a certain gaming engine, and then went, well, wait a minute. I bet we could do it in this better engine that'll allow us to do all these more things.
Yeah.
And then when they tried to attempt to do it, they're like, okay, we didn't get as much progress as we done. This would like triple, if not quadruple, the amount of time we'd have to spend. Let's scrap. They did all this work on the new engine. They scrapped it, went back to what they already had.
Yeah. So, yeah, there's definitely, so when I was talking to some friends about this. I'm not trying to like pull them into this conversation. It's just something that developed, and as I was talking to them about this, that I didn't really get to go down this route. But I think part of the problem, and I personally, I don't find it as a problem with Kickstarter. Like, as long as the game is released as expected or better, I'm happy. The amount of time that it takes, like, I understand it takes a while to make a game. It doesn't matter how seasoned a developer is. Like, game development takes a long time. Unless you're just a little small indie game, then maybe you could pump it out in a couple years or less. And I haven't really heard people talk about this. Maybe it's been covered before, but so going back to Bloodstained, so they put out this idea or this campaign, say $500,000. We're gonna and when they put this campaign out, they say, okay, $500,000 will release this game in 2 years. So all of a sudden the campaign ends. They got $5 million. I don't think it'd be good form to say, okay, so you guys gave us $5 million. We got all these stretch goals. This game's going to take way longer to make. We're going to tack on another 2 years to that. Now, all of a sudden, all these people are like, hey, well, I didn't sign up for that. I signed up for a game to be released in 2 years. Like, so I think when this happens, I think it puts the developers in a spot where they can't really say, well, you guys added all this other stuff we got to do, so it's going to take way longer now. So instead, they don't say anything. They're going to say, we're going to bust our asses, and we're going to try to put this out in the amount of time. But then they get close to that release date, and they're like, shit, okay, we're not even close. We got to delay. So I think it's this weird... It's a weird situation of expectations and promises.
Yeah.
That I think complicates things. Some people don't like that these games get delays when they say this. I'm a little bit more understanding. I invest in these for the hope of this game being created as a game that I'm going to enjoy. As long as that game ends up in my hands, I'm not going to be terribly upset. Like, if it gets delayed, like, I just care that it's a quality product, meets the expectations that I was looking forward to,
Well, I think what it comes down to is, like, me, like I said, I've never kickstarted anything myself, and I'm not against kickstarting. I just, there's no guarantee and there's no punishment if they don't deliver what they want. There's a lot of stories. I forget the full guy's name, but there's a guy on YouTube called Bundy Jr. He does Game Facts.
Larry Bundy.
Or Larry Bundy Jr. Thank you.
Yeah, Guru Larry primarily.
Thank you. I was like, I can't.
Fantastic channel. I hope everybody follows him.
And he's done multiple videos on, like, developers that have kickstarted taken your money and ran, and it's like there's no consequences. It's just like, oh, we worked on it, couldn't do it, eat a dick later. And it's like, I just it was kind of like what was that other thing we were talking about almost like a month ago about that space game that
Star Citizen.
Yeah, Star Citizen. They changed their TOS so you can't get a refund, and the judges are backing up. Like, dudes are paying, like, they put like $10,000 to kickstart something, and it's been like 4 or 5 years. Nothing's happening. No, it's just... Yeah,
and Star Citizen is probably, like, the best example of what I'm talking about with these stretch goals. Is like, I mean, this game is... I mean, they've funded a lot of shit to be added to this game, and it's not like they can just hire a few more staff to close that gap of time, development time. Like, Star Citizen's going to be a ways out. I wish people would just be patient and understand that this game is I mean, this is like the most massive game like ever developed. Like it's wild. And I mean they're very they communicate very well. They tell you this is what we're working on. Here's our updates. You know, they got like basically a little like show that they put together to kind of show you what's going on, and I think that holds true to any good Kickstarter. Is they keep you informed the whole time. There's not like months and months between updates, because that's, you know, a lot of these developers who do end up like taking the money and run. Like, I don't know, a lot of times the initial pitches aren't too great, or they promise big with like out the credibility of, you know, their experience to back them.
Sure.
And sometimes shit just happens. Fortunately, I haven't participated in any of those. I try to make, you know, when I make a judgment call whether or not I'm going to back a project, usually my first thing is there going to be a physical reward? You know, I want a physical game.
Yep.
I haven't backed any projects that didn't have a physical game version. You know, I've backed some board games. I've backed a band putting out an album. So, and most of the stuff that I've backed so far has been delivered. So I have good experience. I call it well. You know, sketchy Kickstarters from nobody, no names. You know, I haven't backed any of those, fortunately. I think I don't know. It is what it is. I'm sure.
I mean, Kickstarter, I mean, for the most part, Kickstarters aren't evil and they're not good. They're just there. I mean, and like anything else, Kickstarter is almost like a cheap copy of the stock market. Only invest what you're willing to lose.
Yes. Thank you.
So I mean,
true.
it's, you know, oh my God, this Castlevania Symphony of the Night type game coming out. I'm going to give this guy like I love the game. I'm a big fan of it. I want more of it. I can't get enough of that style of gameplay. I'm going to give this guy $500. You know, you're taking a gamble because, like I say, you don't get guaranteed anything. There's no one owing you anything except the idea that could happen. That's it. That's all you're buying. And then, you know, and when it does come to you, then you're like you said, you're pretty much batting 1,000 here, where you've gotten the stuff you've backed, and it's like it came to fruition. I have it. Whether you know, whether it was the greatest thing since sliced bread, that's you know, your own opinion of it, but you got it, and that's good. Yeah. Me personally, even if I want something badly, like I do want Bloodstained, I will buy it when it comes out. I already bought like we talked about the 8-bit, you know, little
Curse of the Moon.
Yep, Curse of the Moon, and it's an excellent, you know. So I think what happens is it's kind of like people need to realize, which in this entitled age we live in, it's very near impossible to get a bunch of people who, you know, don't feel entitled. Wait, you know, all good things come to people who wait. And, you know, especially when, I mean, like, it also falls on the people who are creating said product of the Kickstarter to go, for $500,000, this is the original idea. If you guys stretch goal it, you will have to realize that we will have to extend the time, because original idea, we've already figured out how long it's going to take. You want all this extra crap? Okay, that's extra time, extra resources, extra people, extra.
Yeah.
Yes, you are paying us for that, but it doesn't just magically make the original idea not take longer.
Right. And I think like when I was talking to my friends about this, like I'm not sure if they might have said that in one of their initial updates, is like, hey, there's going to be more to it. You know, I don't tend to follow the campaigns like that closely. You know, I check here and there just kind of see where things are at. You know, it's not like I need to read every single word that they put out. So they could have put that expectation out there. But I think overall, a lot of these, maybe that's something that they should do from the get-go and say, hey, this is this. If you guys, you know, want to contribute more, we can add more content. Expect it to take a little bit longer. And maybe that's their, you know, they're covering their own ass or something. So people don't have as much reason to get upset, but
yep.
Yeah, and for the most part, I haven't really seen a lot of people complaining in regards to Bloodstained that like backed like the PS4 version or the PC version. It's mostly the people with the canceled ports, which is understandable. I didn't read hundreds and hundreds of comments or anything. I just kind of read,
skim through it. Yeah,
I skimmed through it, to try to get a good feeling of how people are responding. And I was actually pretty surprised, the people that were upset about the Vita thing, which, again, like I said, it's kind of understandable that they would be upset. It's a tricky one with those because the game's not being released right now, and Sony just dropped support for the Vita. So what are they supposed to do? There's nothing they could do about it. It's a shitty situation, but
True,
it is what it is.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. It is what it is. I mean, and really, I feel bad for people who really want it on the Vita, but it's usually like the diehard Vita collectors that like, oh yeah, one more to the Vita. It's just like, really, it's why not play it? I mean, to say that you own a Vita and not a PS4, that's a very rare thing nowadays. Because I mean, you can get a PS4 off Facebook Marketplace for like $100. I mean, I've seen people trying to just get rid of them. They're like, no games, just a controller, the power cord, and the system, the 500 gig for like $80.
True, but still, I think the people who lost their version of the port, I think they have a little bit more reason to be upset. But I think they need to consider everything. And
if they were denied a refund or anything, which they're not, then I would be like, oh yeah, you burn it to the ground. But you were offered a refund, or like you say, to switch ports. What other system would you like it on? Mm-hmm. So at least they're not just like, oh, too bad, so sad for you, sucks to suck.
Yeah. I mean, and so ultimately, Kickstarter. I like Kickstarter. The projects that have came through that I have in my hands and I can enjoy now wouldn't have been possible without crowdfunding. I think it's a great tool to bring some more unique concepts to fruition for people who want to support them. So I'm going to continue to contribute to Kickstarters. Hopefully things continue to go well and I don't get screwed over. That's ultimately a thing.
The dream.
But it's a dream. You're investing in a dream, and I think there's a lot to be gained from it. And holding some of these campaigns, I forget I was going to say hold them accountable for what they're doing, especially for the ones who somehow end up like taking the money and running. There's some like one that was kind of going to be like a Minecraft sort of thing, and that was the campaign that like one of the developers like put out a document saying that all the other guys are blowing the money on like hookers and blow and stuff. Like that's pretty fucked up.
Oh yeah, that was kind of funny though too. I'd be like,
it's like
you always hear about like big corporate parties, but it's like, oh, this guy actually did blow it on hookers and blow. That's awesome.
If you're gonna fuck people over, I mean, I guess that's the way to do it. But
better been the best hookers and blow you ever had, dude.
But it sucks. People lost out money, but on the flip side, this guy's never going to be doing this again. Hopefully this guy's blacklisted from, any sort of crowdfunding at this point in games development, and, fuck that guy and fuck anything that he wants to try to do in the future. So, I think there are some like universal karmas that will come to these people.
Or maybe he got syphilis or something,
Could be. Hookers, hookers aren't known for their cleanliness all the time.
He woke up one morning and something was dripping. He's like, what the hell's that? That's karma.
So then any other final thoughts on Kickstarter?
No, like I say, I'm pretty neutral on the subject of it. Like I don't even know what could come of in the realm of nerddom that I would be like, I have to throw $50 at that. So I've actually received a gift from Kickstarter. My buddy, we play D&D, or we used to play a lot more. I haven't played it as much lately, but someone kickstarted there's a magical item in the realm of D&D, old as time, called a deck of many things. And some person actually like kickstarted a project to actually get they wanted to make a physical like tarot deck card, and he bought two. He bought one for my birthday. He's like, here you go. Here's an actual deck of many things.
I'm pretty sure I saw that project. I thought that was cool.
Yeah, so I was like, wow, neat. I actually have a Kickstarter, it bore fruit, and I have some of it, so that was kind of neat. I still have it in my D&D bag as we speak.
Yeah. So then with that, we'll jump into the community question. We didn't get a lot of feedback for last week, but we still have our question and our answers. So we'll just cover that quickly here. And the question for last week was, what is the best game you haven't played? Now, we did have one response from Do You Nerd? And I accept their answer. They said they don't think they can answer that because best game I haven't played without playing it, I have no clue. Can't go off reviews or recommendations. The tastes of others are so varied, I don't think of things as good or bad until I tried it myself. And I think that's very fair, because it is hard to kind of go off of what other people say. Yeah. I usually, for the most part, I kind of forge my own path when it comes to the games that I play. But I still have some assumptions for especially games I have in my backlog. So I guess let's start out with your guess at what would be your best game you haven't played.
With so many different like imports that I would love to play too. That's why I was kind of surprised. I was like, oh, it came out this week, and I thought it was another week or two out. But Shenmue, even back in the day, I didn't own a Dreamcast. I only had one friend that actually, his family was not super rich, but better off, and he got a Dreamcast, and we played all the cool games for it. And by the time I started having disposable income, I was too focused on RPGs on the PS1 and stuff like that. So I played a lot of Dreamcast, but I didn't get to play a lot of Dreamcast, if that makes sense. And so when Shenmue came out, I mean, everybody talked about it, how great it was, all the things you can do in it. Hey, you want to play Work Simulator? You can just go to work every day and fucking keep making money in this game. And so I saw brief things on the internet as years go by, but I've never actually sat down and played it. And I hear it's such a great game. So now with the HD remaster on the PS4 with 1 and 2, I will be able to actually do that if I can ever peel myself off my computer from playing Final 14. So, but yeah, that would be mine. Is I hear great things. I hear it's a really great story. I like good stories. I like good narratives. So I'm excited to play it.
I mean, over the years, now it seems like the Shenmue hype is kind of like the most it's ever been. I think Shenmue 3 is really what brought the game on to kind of the general audience's attention.
Radar, yeah.
But the people who I knew had played the games, or even talked about them after Shenmue 3 was announced, those people the people who like Shenmue love the Shenmue games, and it was kind of the first open world game. Paved the way for Yakuza. So yeah, it's definitely games I would like to play at some point. It's just backlogged for miles.
See, I don't. I mean, when you say this is the most hype this series has ever gotten because of what's happening, I honestly think you could take a lot of old series from a lot of I wouldn't say obscure systems. The Dreamcast isn't obscure, but I mean, when people think of it, it's usually not one of the forefronts that comes to their mind when you're like, what's some of your favorite retro systems? And people are gonna NES, Super NES, Genesis, Masters. Dreamcast is people would you even consider Dreamcast classic? I would. Yeah. I would very much so consider Dreamcast a retro, but it's usually one of the last things people bring up, and it's there's a lot of good games. So I think if you I think you'd have a lot more Dreamcast library hype. I don't know why I can't think of the stupid what's that fighter, a 4-player fighter on it. There's only 2 of them.
Power Stone.
Thank you. I guarantee you right now, if they were like, "Oh, by the way, after this, we're going to do Power Stone 1 and 2 HD remake," people would be losing their crap. They're like, "I used to play that, or I played it once, and it's so fun." It would sell itself.
Yeah.
And then people are going to start going, "What other things can we do from the Dreamcast that crazy?"
Here's hoping. I'd love to see some of those series come back.
Or kind of like what I was saying before, like that Genesis. I mean, granted, I know cartridge games are very small and kilobit size and are a lot easier to throw 50 to 100 of them on a disc and go, here, Genesis greatest hits. But I'm still waiting for stuff like a Dreamcast greatest hits to be on a PS4 or the PS5 even, whenever if that's what it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
So
right
what's
on.
yours?
Well, I've kind of mentioned this one before in many instances throughout my time on this podcast, so it might not be a terribly surprising one. I kind of question it at the same time because like I haven't played this game, and it's been around for the series. In fact, has been around for years, and I just haven't played it. But I'm guessing probably for what I have, there was really two games I was like, I'm sure I'm gonna love both of these games. Which one am I going to go with? So the first one I was kind of thinking about would maybe be Pillars of Eternity. I've heard nothing but great things, but I was like, I'm sure, but I think I had one game that I think just from what I'm kind of going off of like close friends' recommendations and other people, I think Witcher 3 is probably going to be the best game that I haven't played.
Yeah, I'd put not that I'm saying it's a bad game. I'm just thinking like after you've just completed Breath of the Wild and how much time and effort that took, Witcher 3 is going to be just that again. Like
and Witcher 3 is like, I mean, with the Blood and Wine DLC or expansion, it's like twice the game. It's like 200 hours. And to get to Witcher 3, I need to play through 1 and 2 first.
You're one of those.
I'm one of those guys. I don't know. I think a lot of those little things that are referenced or carry over, I think they add so much to an experience.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I always try to cover a series from the beginning. Because there's little, like I said, little things that make you appreciate everything so much more. I could go on and on about like why I think people should start with the Game Boy Color Shantae game before playing through the rest of the series, because there's so many just neat little things that kind of weave their way throughout the series or build from here, or this is referenced, or this character kind of becomes a bigger thing that wasn't a bigger thing. Like, I like that stuff, and I think that's what makes a series special, and that's why it's a series, not just different games.
I mean, in the same vein, I mean, like minus the story component of it, it'd be like saying, I'm going to start with Mass Effect 3. Why do I give a shit about Shepard? Be like, oh, well, if you would have played the first two, you'd understand why Shepard is the way he or she is and why they do the things he or she does.
Totally.
If so yeah, I mean, except for like, well, Mass Effect 1 through 3 actually is a continuing story where I believe if I read correctly, Witcher, it's loose. There's characters that connect, but it's not like this was immediately following what happened. But I could be wrong.
I think it is kind of like a running story, but I think there's like,
I think it's like a running universe is what I think it is.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure people can correct us on this.
Exactly.
Feel free to do so if you'd like. But yeah, so yeah, that's that. So community question for next week is going to be, have you ever rage quit a game and never went back to it? I think that's a good one. I kind of just a little thing I wanted to add on to this is there's an inside joke between me and my like immediate group of friends, the people I've been playing online games with for pretty much ever. We call it GG uninstall. I'm not going to name names, but my friends and I and my brother, we used to play. I mean, like I said, pretty much all the online games I've ever played, we've all played together, and we used to play Counter-Strike. OG Counter-Strike before Source, played Source, so on and so forth. We used to love Counter-Strike. And there was a time when one of my friends took a little break from Counter-Strike to go play some other stuff, and we were like, "Hey, let's come on, play Counter-Strike with us. You know, it's fun. We all have fun. Let's play it." So my friend was kind of like, well, fine, whatever. I'll play. And he gets on, and some people are giving him a hard time. Just, oh, yeah, finally playing Counter-Strike, finally, whatever. And he started getting. He didn't really want to play it. He's just doing it because my friends want me to do it. Fine, I'll do it. And I don't remember what happened. Like, I think there was some accusations of he was camping, and somebody called him out for it.
Oh no!
And it was funny because when they called him out on it, they used a reference to an old website called YTMND. If people are familiar with YTMND, very classic internet meme site, kind of like one of the bigger ones.
Okay.
From back in the day. And your YTMND is an abbreviation for "You're the Man Now, Dog," which was a reference from Sean Connery. I forget the movie where he like mentors a kid, a basketball player or something. Like, one of those he's like an inner city kid, but he has this line. He's like, "You're the man now, dog." And my friend, one friend said that to my other friend, like, because he was like basically like shit talking him because he was camping. He's like, "You're the man now, dog." And my friend said, "GG," logged out of the game and uninstalled it. And my friends were like, "Hey, what happened?" He's like, "Fuck this game, I installed it." So now we got this joke. It's called GG uninstall. And that's kind of ties into the question. Like, have you had your GG uninstall moment where you're playing a game, you're like, "Fuck this, I'm out."
Fuck this shit, I'm out.
So yeah, love to hear your thoughts. Let us know, and we will talk about this next time. So I think we're running late as per usual.
Hey,
so real quick,
setting the
I'm
bar.
just going to run through upcoming games next couple weeks. Shenmue 1 and 2, August 21st, that just came out, of course. Yakuza Kiwami 2, August 28th. I know a lot of people are excited for that. There's a port of Divinity Original Sin 2 to the consoles, so that is great for console folks. And then, of course, right at the cusp of the next episode is Dragon Quest XI, yes. Echoes of an Elusive Age. So, good stuff here. Then, I just lost. There we go. Just want to let people know, I guess, what we're up to in the next couple weeks. Really, I don't have much like solid planned. I'm gonna finish up Sonic Mania, kind of go from there. Right now, I'm kind of riding things out until Dragon Quest comes out.
Mm-hmm.
How about yourself?
Yeah, like I say, I start school in 3 days, so that's gonna like set the bar. That's gonna set par for me. So how much work I have, how to blend it in with my daily still working a full-time job, and all that kind of stuff. So
hoping for the best.
Yeah, but like I say, I'm excited. I'm jazzed. Lately, it's kind of just been like, what do I pop in and play? Because so it could be a multitude of things. But yeah, like I say, we're on the cusp of so much crap coming out next month. I mean, good crap. But like I say, I almost want to like have one of my friends take my computer so I can just I can't play Final Fantasy. I have my laptop for school, which won't play Final Fantasy. I'm doing Dragon Quest.
If you need me to do you a solid, let me know.
Just so everyone's aware, his computer is better than mine, so it wouldn't be like, "Oh, I'll use your computer." Tee hee hee. But yeah, that's what my life will consist of for the next couple of weeks.
Sounds like a plan.
Mm-hmm.
So then, for anybody listening, however you're listening, I just want to let you know how you can find the podcast and get a hold of us. So, of course, the podcast is hosted on SoundCloud and YouTube, so you can listen to it either of those sources. It's also available via any podcast app, including iTunes. Just look up the Game Tenants podcast, and you will find us. As far as getting a hold of myself, you can look me up on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram as The Game Grinder. and you will find me there. And then if you want to get a message to Justin, either leave it in the comments anywhere, and I will pass that along if he can't see them. And yeah.
Because, I mean, people are like lining up to want to talk to me. So please keep an orderly fashion. I will answer your fan mail and questions. I don't have a Patreon, but I can get one if you guys demand it. But I'm just kidding. No, I won't.
Sounds good. Sounds good. So then I think with that, that will do it for this episode of the Game Tenants podcast. So as always, let us know your thoughts. Thanks for listening, and we will talk to you next time.
See you later.
Peace.